Hello and welcome to Infertility Unfiltered, where fertility experts and warriors are joining forces to provide you with tips, tricks, information, facts, inspiration, and lessons so that you can take back control of your life and get your baby on board. Hi, I'm Jennifer Robertson, and today we are blessed to be joined with Jaclyn Downs. Now, Jaclyn is a functional genomic nutritionist and addresses root causes of fertility issues with personalized plans of action based on your genomics, functional lab testing, and a very detailed health history intake. This takes out the guesswork, the heartache, and wasted time of fertility protocols that don't work for everyone. So today we are going to be talking to you about number one, what is a genomic fertility practitioner? And what are the causes of hormone or fertility issues, and what supplements should you or should you not take based on your particular circumstance? And if you stick around to the end, Jaclyn is going to tell you how you can get your hands on a lot more information that she's talking about today. So thank you so much for joining us, Jaclyn Downs.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to share some stuff that I know that might be new to some people.
Excellent. Now, before we get into all of the technical stuff, now, can you just tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about what led you into this profession, and what is a genomic fertility practitioner?
Okay. So my dad has been a nutritionist ever since I was early elementary school. And so I've always had little voice in my ear talking about, health and what is health and true health. And later on in life, after graduating from college, I didn't become a dietitian or anything, not dissing dietitians, but I just wanted some information outside the box. So I just went ahead and got a psychology degree. And I sort of came into the birthing world, and I became a birth doula in 2002. And just from there, I just loved being in that whole birthing community. And I moved back home to Lancaster, Pennsylvania to apprentice with a home birth midwife. And I attended over 100 births with her. And while I was there, I had never even given much thought to infertility or miscarriage, but I saw how many people were struggling with fertility issues. And it just sort of opened my eyes to how important the nutrition is for that. I later went on to become a yoga instructor and teach prenatal postpartum yoga. I also can encapsulate placentas now. So I've been in the birthing realm for a while, but now that I've come into functional medicine, functional nutrition, and my specialty is fertility and reproductive wellness and wonky periods, it really came full circle. And so now I feel that this is where I can really help people before they even get pregnant. Instead of having a healthy pregnancy and a blissful birth, I can actually help them prepare their bodies for giving birth to the most optimally robust child that they can.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I love that path, and it's kind of touched on absolutely everything that that you could possibly go down, and it's led you to where you are now. So what is a functional genomic nutritionist?
So functional medicine looks at the root causes of things. So based on your health history, your case history, your labs, and your genetics, functional genomics looks at how is the terrain off in the body. So we're looking, traditional genetics looks for potential disease states. Functional genomics looks for potential impairment of function and helps to find the best nutritional intervention to bring the body back into balance. So it really helps to shine a light on why one specific diet or supplement worked wonders for one person, but made somebody else sick or what have you. So there's so much genetic and biochemical variation in between us. that everyone's needs are different. And so using genetics and functional lab testing, we can really get to the root cause of what is causing your particular issue. And for me, my specialty is fertility. And so that can be fibroids, that can be endometriosis, that can be PCOS. And endometriosis and PCOS are a large percentage of the clientele that I work with, or just other people that just kind of have some sort of unexplained they don't have a diagnosis. And I really get down to the cellular level. So going further into your question, I look at patterns of inflammation. So that is, how well are you detoxifying? What is your antioxidant production status? How is the health of your cells and your mitochondria? I don't know how much your audience knows about mitochondria, but it is the mother's mitochondrial DNA that gets passed to the baby. As far as we know, that only comes from the mother. And your mitochondria, if you remember from science class, is the powerhouse of the cell that makes the energy. So if you have mitochondrial dysfunction, which we can see based on your symptoms and some functional lab testing and also genetic predisposition, if your body is having issues making energy, it's going to know that now is not a good time to create a baby. So we need to find out what is causing that alarm to go off in the body that is signaling the mating capability to turn off. So a lot of times that can be something as simple as blood sugar dysregulation or poor fat utilization, or either toxin overload or a genetic predisposition for just having poor detoxification ability. So these are the things that we have whole entire pathways mapped out genetically, and then based on where your genetic weaknesses could be, we say, well, why don't we do some functional lab testing to confirm if those genes are expressing, and if so, to what degree.
Okay, great. And so once you do the testing and you find out all of these things, what then can you do to counteract it? Because you can't cure this. Like, this is just the way you are. But how can you build it up or make it so for example, someone suffering from endometriosis, and I know that everyone's diagnosis is absolutely different. Like, one person with endometriosis is not the same as another one. So the treatment might be a little bit different. But, so what are some of the hormones or, the issues that you might see that keep on coming up with someone with, so for example, endometriosis?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that can be from excessive use of the birth control pill for, 17 years. So you just have all of these estrogens, and then if you combine that with genetic predispositions for not clearing your estrogens very well, like in your CYP genes, that's going to impact the amount of estrogen that you are able to clear from the body, and that's going to throw off your estrogen to progesterone balance. That could also be from people that are just lifestyle things, reusing plastics, drinking out of plastic bottles, not drinking really, quality water. Even pesticides have endocrine disrupting chemicals in them, and body care products, xenoestrogens. So I always start with just foundational things like upgrading your cleaning products, upgrading your body care products, and cutting out the plastic and finding substitutes for that. And that's like, you don't have to buy any supplements for that. Those are just lifestyle upgrades. And then something else that's really huge and more people are starting to learn about is oxalates. They are compounds in plants that can actually bind to minerals in the body and create really jagged crystals. Kidney stones are most well known for these, and they oxalate crystals like to form around the pelvic bowl. And so interstitial cystitis, UTIs, vulvodynia, painful sex, endometriosis, all of these things have been linked to oxalate sensitivity. So depending on either your genetics, or if you have had a long history of antibiotic usage and that really disrupted your gut flora, that increases the likelihood of oxalates being a problem. If you have poor fat utilization issues, again, it comes back to the fats. Your fats make your hormones. then you are more prone to having issues with oxalates. And so then I will do certain dietary protocols, as well as there's certain supplements like B6 that are needed to help metabolize oxalates. So again, it could be blood sugar, it could be oxalates, it could just be lifestyle dietary things, environmental things. It could be a whole host of things. So based on a really in-depth health intake, I can get an idea for that. And then we look at your genetics and we can recommend certain lab tests.
Okay, great.
That can confirm whether these things are happening or not.
Okay, and in terms of supplements, are there certain supplements that you should always be on in terms of like when you're trying to have a baby, or are there, is it dependent on really getting that, distinct lab testing to work out the exact ones that you should have? Because I know that, if you have a certain ailment, then you shouldn't take a certain, supplement. Like, are there things to take and things not to take?
There are some basics, like magnesium. I don't know if you have a favorite mineral, but I do, and it's magnesium. Now, there's different forms that work for different people, depending on maybe if they prone more towards constipation or towards anxiety or PTSD. There's certain forms. I'm a huge fan of Epsom salt baths, super cheap. You don't have to swallow them, but there are some people that don't tolerate Epsom salt baths, and there's certain reasons for that. Also, a B complex. So bees are essential. They have their fingers in pretty much every pot in the body, in our metabolic body, but knowing which form of the B vitamins is important. So everybody, especially, is on the MTHFR train right now. And so they say, well, I have MTHFR, so I'm just going to take a whole bunch of methylfolate and methyl B12. But that can backfire because if you spin the methylation wheels too fast, then it can backfire and you can have some side effects. So knowing where you are in your journey, what you've been taking, and what your genetics are. Hi, you're supposed to be a pet. Hey, Daddy. I'm so sorry. Can really help you to personalize which form of the supplement. So again, B vitamins are essential for everybody. I really love magnesium. And then there's those are kind of my two, like, everybody should kind of be on some sort of support there. Now, depending,
Yeah.
sugar is really common too. So maybe people might need a little bit of blood sugar support with some certain supplements. But yeah, magnesium and B complexes are my absolute favorite.
Okay. And if you could recommend to everyone who's watching now, one thing that they should do, like a test or a person that they should go and see, like what should they do today in order to, because it's not natural for us as women to, I think we suffer from, painful periods and all of these pains and things like that we really don't need to be doing. So what's the one thing that they could be doing today to work out how they can actually live a life pain-free and fall pregnant at the same time?
Do you mean like a test, or just like a general, if you want to do one thing to improve your health, what would it be?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, so if it was that one, I really would emphasize eating organic, GMO-free food, because what the public and the common, the average person doesn't know about their food supply, or what's going into their food, is harming them. And our eggs and sperm are the most vulnerable cells in our body to these burdens, these toxins, because we don't need to reproduce in order to stay alive. So our reproductive system is often the first thing that gets compromised. So your body's trying to rob Peter to pay Paul. So by putting clean things into our body and trying to minimize the amount of toxins that your poor liver has to deal with all day, every day, that, and also, just really nutrient dense, that's going to help keep your cogs spinning and help your body to detoxify and not be bringing the crap in and adding more of a burden to your body.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so if anyone wants to get in contact with you and get their hands on more information about this so that they can dig a little bit deeper with you, how do they get in contact with you?
I'm pretty old school. I do have a website, which is just my name, JaclynDowns.com. I don't have too much of an online presence. I do have a Facebook page that's called Functional Genomic Fertility, and I have been trying to be very diligent about posting at least semi-regularly. My website does have a few blogs that I felt important enough to write, that were important enough to write. One on your thyroid. Everybody says, oh, my doctor checked my thyroid and everything came back fine. Well, here is the lab markers you should ask your doctor for. So it's more of a functional lab test rather than just TSH and T4. And then also I explain why knowing your genetics or doing your genetic report can, like, the benefits of it. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the genomics aspect there, and also just certain aspects of hormone imbalance that your doctor might not have ever told you about. And that's all of those are on the blog on jaclyndowns.com. Otherwise, just calling my office. You can contact me through my website, but you can also call my office and schedule a consultation at 717-733-2003.
Awesome. And we'll put all of your details. So thank you for joining us, Jaclyn. Now, if you enjoyed this video too, please feel free to give it a little love, share it, like it, subscribe to this channel as well, because there are so many more amazing interviews just like this one as part of the Infertility Unfiltered series. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time.